Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Over the last few years, I've been really enjoying my days at the track. And as I've progressed through the levels and gotten more confident with my core fundamental skills, I've learned a lot about a lot of things, but the learner's mindset in me just can't stop learning. Now, it's really easy to fuss over a lot of things when it comes to building a track bike. I think quite often we just fuss over the bike too much and we don't fuss over our own skills enough. Now, I spent a lot of time honing my own skills, and I'm far from perfect. I like to call myself sort of the old guy mid-pack A group these days, but getting to there was not easy. I've gotten to a point now where I really want to dial in the suspension on my 2023 Panigale V2. Now, this is a dedicated track bike. It looks nothing like a street bike. I think that the learning experience in building this with my friend Bill at Redmond Motorsports, who's a fantastic mechanic, what I've realized is that the more you obsess, the more of a bucket of expenditure it becomes. But if there's one area that we should not hesitate to focus on, it's tires and suspension. If you can get those things right, it really makes a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying you need to throw thousands of dollars at expensive suspension. No, you don't need to do that. Now, in my case, I've gone a little bit overboard and I do have GP suspension on the front and Öhlins on the rear. I've put a full Termi race system on it, Woodcraft rear sets, pseudo dry clutch, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on and on. Now, most track days have tire people, suspension people, but no one has a guy like Dave. Is just one person. I interviewed him last year on my podcast, and I've known Dave for a number of years, and he's done a lot of remote tuning for me over the years. But this year, he's spent a lot more time at my local track here at the Ridge Motorsport Park in Washington State. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to have Dave spend a day with me and help me dial in my Panigale V2. So if you're interested in this sort of content and you want to get inside the mind of the suspension whisperer himself, then tag along with me and I'll show you what we got up to. Welcome to the Ridge Motorsport Park here in Washington State. And this is late August, which is always fun for a track day because it's not too hot, not too cold. It's going to be a beautiful few days. And spending time with a vendor that has come up from California, a track day organization that I've never hung out with before, and so it's going to be fun. We're going to be spending a bit of time working with Dave Moss, who is one of my favorite suspension gurus, aka the suspension whisperer. And so we're going to have some fun, and let's go for a ride and see what's going on here. So a friend of mine from California told me to come and do this track day because he loves these guys. So I'm here, and I've done a bunch of California track days as well. So it's nice to have them up here. Head on. G'day Dave.
G'day.
It's been a while since we chatted.
It has, it's been a minute.
Yeah, we did that podcast. You taught me all about lava flows and eruptions and
impact craters.
Impact craters. And then you've been finding your way out to the Pacific Northwest this season, and that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I class it as home, having lived here from 87 to 2000, building a rugby club and racing with Armour.
Yeah.
So the Northwest has always been home to me. So it's really nice to come back.
I remember you telling me how you used to basically stalk all the old races at the Oregon Raceway in Portland and just kind of listen in on them, and that's how you started getting into suspension, which was a cool story when we talked about it.
Yeah.
And when we did the podcast, I told you that I was building a V2 Panigale and it wasn't ready for you. Well,
here we go.
Behold,
Beautifully put together too, may I say.
Thank you.
Beautifully put together.
I don't know if everyone on the channel knows your setup, so I'm just kind of like, this is the suspension whisperer. All right.
Yes.
And now, a lot of suspension guys just do suspension, but what struck me about you is that you actually look at the whole package, the rider, the ergos, fork, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Because
so,
it's you and the bike. It's not the bike.
right.
So the bike can't dominate your experience.
Yep.
Each human is unique with their life story, which may or may not involve injuries. There's a whole individual setup based on ergonomics that has to work for that person. And if they're uncomfortable, they're not going to ride well, because then they're basically fighting with the bike. And there's no point. So ergonomics is by far the most critical point. If you're not comfortable, you can't ride well. So the first thing that has to be absolutely correct are all the features based on your ergonomics. So some people have long legs, some have short. Some have a long torso, a short torso. Some people's fingers are short like mine, little stubbies. Others are long. So we've got to look at everything and get you fitted to the motorcycle. So when people ask me why, I just go, would you rent a car and not move the seat? You go in the dirt bike world, everything is fit. The bike's stripped and rebuilt before you ride it. You go in the bicycle world, it's even worse. You have to pedal for 45 minutes and every component is fitted to your anatomy, so you are biomechanically correct. But motorcycles, everybody just gets on it and rides it, so we're the biggest bunch of masochists on the planet. When we don't need to be. There's just no point. So one of the first lessons I learned on my own, outside of what all the old guys taught me, was how can you ride a bike when you're all knotted up on it? So eventually when I got to be a crew chief at national level, I would have multiple rear sets, multiple handlebars, multiple levers. Because if you're asking a professional to give their all, if they can't be comfortable, they're never, ever going to get comfortable. And in that case, their performance is always impaired.
So an old fat bastard in his 50s like me, I mean, it should be easy.
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 Easy on the old. All right, so first thing, your arms go way down past into mid-thigh, right?
Yep.
Mine will go just above knee. Yours are about the same. So long torso, long arms. Fortunately for you, it's a long tank with the monkey ears on it and pushing you back. So the top half of you makes sense. The first piece of the puzzle is shoulder width.
Okay.
So what's your jacket size?
It's 56.
Okay. So somewhat average on shoulders, which means that when we look at the handlebar width, and we'll have to do the conversion, you're basically 9 inches and on both sides.
So you're measuring the handlebar width, okay, from the clip-on. Yep.
Where the clip-on inserts into the housing.
Yep.
To the end of the grip.
Okay.
So now go ahead, take a seat on the bike, square that up a little bit.
You want to get off there?
No, just square it there. All right, let go of the bars and just sit up straight. So the first thing, this is the only compound tank that we have to fight as far as bikes go.
I've noticed that the Aprilias are a lot wider. And that's
but you sit under it.
Yeah.
So the first part is essentially hip joint, ball and socket, so head of the trochanter down to your knee, that angle. If that angle is down, then usually your foot's behind you, which is really bad, because when we stand, our ankle's directly in line, so we have to have everything aligned. Next piece, if the angle's too tight, go ahead, force your hand into the back of your knee. See how you have to fight it?
Yep.
So there's a question there of, is the seat to peg distance too tight? And if it is, and most motorcycle seats go down and stuff you into the tank.
Yep.
Well then, if we brought the front of the seat up and leveled it with the back, then that would open your knee angle up. That's a problem we can resolve by simply realigning the front of the seat level with the back. But because you've got the knee grips on the front of the tank to extend and make you correct, then that might not be possible without becoming uncomfortable.
Okay. Yep.
What we're trying to look at next is an angle. So foot under the shifter without looking at it. Oh. Now pull up and hold. So with boots on, boots on, let that go. What we don't want is an ankle that's less than 90, because that's unnatural.
Okay.
At the top of the stroke, we should be greater than 90 just. There's a question on this one then that your shifter may be a little too high. May. Do you miss shift?
Sometimes I hunt a bit. Right. Like I'm GP shift, but sometimes I find myself hunting to get my foot back right next to you.
Okay, foot back in where it belongs. Okay, so from there, your toe piece will rotate down. So we can fix your ankle angle correctly by pushing that down. Yep. The other piece is when you put your boots on, your boot has to come against the peg and the correct part of your foot be under the toe piece. What shoe size is that for? Nobody measures that.
12 and a half.
Nobody measures it.
Yep.
So because you've got an elliptical adjustment, then you can accommodate shoe size to a degree, but oftentimes with the shifter itself, if it comes in a slot, you can accommodate a lot more range in shoe size. So the back of the bike, the only question ergonomically becomes your calf is heavily impacted into your hamstring. Yep. So could lifting the front of the seat up an inch level you out and actually open your knee up? So it's a question for later.
Okay.
All right, so the next piece is the gap that nobody measures. So go ahead, sit up straight for me.
Yep.
But put your back vertical. A little more. There you go. So usually most people will be between 18 and 20 inches.
You're measuring the gap between my
belly
button and
to the middle of the steering stem.
Middle of the steering stem, okay.
So, because of your long torso, 20 to 22 inches makes more sense. So the quick test on that will be make two fists and put them against the grips.
Just staying upright?
Yeah, just put them against the grips. So now you're looking at a spine angle off vertical. That spine angle can be anywhere up to 35 degrees.
Okay.
Standard motorcycle, we just sit, right? And we're comfortable and we're here. Depending on the tank length, even on a standard motorcycle, as soon as you push forward, your shoulders open, and now your fists start coming in because it's too far. So now hold the grips, just the grips. So the other piece of the puzzle is that your hand has to fit the middle of the grip. Oftentimes we do that versus that.
Yeah.
So there's a compromise with handlebars for angle, both out, which we call sweep, like a broom, and then down, because you can go 0, 5, and 7 degrees down. So at that point, which bar is going to suit you better is one of the things you look at. Now, in your version, there are two 5mm Allens here, which allow the whole piece to rotate forwards and backwards. Yep. Normally, aftermarket stuff is not pinned and located in, but when you buy it for a specific bike, these have pins and there's a whole cast to lock it in. Yep. Now, if that's too close, your first movement is going to be this.
You're talking about my
to clear.
Yep.
So your first movement is back, up, and forward to go get it. If that's the case, that will be too high and or too close. So if you stretch your fingers out and leave them straight, the lever's on the middle knuckle. It's supposed to be on the end. It's supposed to be back here, which gives you a little more room. But because you have long fingers, the reach is impaired because that gap is too short. So technically, that needs to go down and out.
Okay.
So then when you compare that to the brake lever, are your fingers in the same position that you're on the middle knuckle? Because the worst part about the brake side is throttle. Right, if your first movement is here to clear because the gap's too short and then you shoot forward, so hold the throttle itself without holding the lever. Now just slowly move your hand. See how you've got to pull it up?
Yeah.
So the brake is too close. All of your ergos are set every single time in the braking position.
Okay.
When you're flying and you're tucked, it doesn't matter. But when we're actually braking, everything functionally has to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Our lower body doesn't move much until we get into corners and then we get off the bike. Yeah. And that's where tank grip, seat, all that stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
And if your knee angle's too tight, It's very hard to move around the bike. You have to get up, over, down, instead of slide.
Yep.
So knee angle often causes a huge problem.
So this is where you generally start with everyone, or do you
always
go
here?
Always start here. Okay.
Because if I'm fighting this, they can't ride. Several people have told me they hated their motorcycles, went away to a car upholstery shop, had the seat leveled and shaped, and came back and said they've never had so much fun in their life because the seat got fixed.
So what am I looking at here now?
So your handlebar here on the stock triples, that is a machined round piece sits in it. So you can move the bar backwards and you can move the bar forwards. If you take it out of the machined area, then you've got unlimited movement forwards and backwards other than physical contact between brake and fairing stay and whatever. So then we can sweep the bar to get the reach correct so the bar fits precisely. This is always a compromise that 99% of riders do. They just make that work, but very few get it to the middle of the hand. When you pick a bucket up, how'd you pick it up? That way. Why are you steering a motorcycle like that, which is unnatural? All the weight is on the heel of your hand. Well, the heel of your hand's on top. So if the heel of the hand's on top, how are you counter steering?
Right.
With your thumb.
Yeah.
So you're using your thumb like a prehensile tail, and a lot of people go numb on their fingers.
Yeah.
Well, they go numb because they're steering the bike using their thumb because the top of the hand's there. Because the further you push it that way, the further out the lever goes, and depending on design, what we call a shoulder here comes down, well then the arm will come out at an increasing angle. Sometimes they'll come all the way out. So if they're the same shape, you're at 3.5 inches to the middle of the ball.
Yeah.
And that one is 3 3/4 inches, which is why the clutch is easier for you to use than the brake. We can pick the front up.
Yeah.
And the most common problem I find on the rear is that you can't pick it up. So if we watch the shock spring, we will be able to see what's going on. See how I can pick it up?
Yeah.
So some shocks have a spring inside that allows that to happen and some don't. If you cannot pick the back of the motorcycle up, you are going to be the second kid on the trampoline from the moment you sit here.
Okay.
Because there's no dead space. When a bump hits and it hits you, it puts you out of the seat. So the biggest thing I fight almost all day is trying to get static sag into a shock.
Okay.
As soon as you have static sag in the back, you here in the middle of the corner sit and relax because that dead space takes all the shock away. So if you think of a Baja truck, they kind of sit level and all this chaos happens underneath them. So that chaos needs to leave you alone in the middle of the corner, because if it doesn't and it nudges you, that is an involuntary steering input, right? Because you just get nudged forward.
Right, that's the nudge, yeah.
And you're trying to be neutral on the bike because you're in the middle of the corner, you're trying to sit and be relaxed, but you can't.
Because the suspension wants to do something else.
Because this is no dead space.
Yeah, okay.
So everything tops out, bang, the next thing to top out is you, lift. So you own a motorcycle. Make sure you can pick the back of the bike up, and if you cannot pick it up, if it won't move, it means the tension on the spring is too high. This is your preload adjuster. You've got that many threads showing. That is your ride height adjuster, length of the shock.
Yep.
So next thing to do is we know we have static sag. We know what you've got in terms of preload on the springs by the number of threads exposed. So next thing is to actually measure you on the bike and see what we have. So the first thing is to lift and let it set, so that's the bike at rest.
Yeah.
So bike at rest, going from 2 fixed points, come up to the rivet, and you're 19 inches to the bottom of the hole. That would be how precise I'd measure. So 19 to the bottom of the hole. All right, now, because you're not in gear, all we're doing is getting an idea of where you're at.
Okay.
Because every time you come in, the settings will evolve.
Okay.
You'll get faster. Every setting will change. So for now, go ahead, take a seat on the bike. So that's going to simulate your leather weight. So we were 19 exactly, and you are 18 exactly. So you're an inch, 25 mil. A TTX rule of thumb, 15 to 25 is your range.
It's the Oland CTX that I'm running? Yep, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right smack in the middle at 20.
Okay.
If we got that right, then the travel use on the shock will be matched. If you bottom the shock out, we're too big on the number, right? So we'd have to close the number up. But if we close the sag number to 15 and all the static sag disappears, the spring is too soft.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, because you're crushing a spring, crushing it. Now in the front, top out springs are huge. You'll never run out of static sag in the front because it's engineered in deliberately. Oh. So on the front, the goal is to be in the middle of the range. So if you have 18 turns of preload, you want to be working 6 to 12.
Okay, that makes sense.
So at that point, are we starting to wind spring in and wind compression in? Well, the setup is incapable of coping with your skill increase, which is why you see in racing all the time, they swap springs, they swap shocks, they're trying to get the bike into that sweet zone or that golden zone of being in the middle of everything. Everything's data driven. Well, for me, it's that.
Yep.
And then the tires and the fork travel and the shock travel. So for me, I'm building a jigsaw from the middle. The framework is you and the bike.
Yep.
Well, we already see that, but we got to build it from the middle and bring it out.
Okay.
So now we're going to measure the front. So go ahead, grab the bars. So from the joint of the dust seal in the outer tube down to the bottom of the chrome tube is 3.5 inches exactly. So go ahead, dismount. 3.5. Let's do it properly. It's 4.5. So you've got an inch of rider sag, 20. So 25, 25 with you on it. So the chassis is balanced. A sport bike may need a slight front bias, and you're at the joint of the cap and the tube.
Yep.
Your bike is an inch with you on it both ends.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yep.
Okay, from a geometry perspective, we've got this ride height, which is the length of the shock.
Yep.
A stock ride height bar, but on the forks you can see a little bit of the gray below the black cap. Yep. So that's your fork geometry. If there's no gray, you're going to brake for days and love it. If there's a lot more gray, it's going to turn in by itself really quick and scare the hell out of you. So what's the balance point here, and we'll find that. So for now, that's the initial review of where we're at.
Yep.
We'll talk about tire circumference geometry and everything else in the next one, but for now, riders
Sweet
meeting.
as. Let's get to the riders meeting. Thanks, Dave. Dave, first session of the day.
Okay.
What feedback do you want me to give you?
So first session of the day should be literally, are my reference points there? Are my shift points consistent? Am I getting a good rhythm?
Yep.
Because this is your home track, so it should be very easy for you within 4 to 6 laps to just get up to your usual warm-up pace.
What I'd say is the overall feedback is hitting my apexes, but the front sometimes feels like on target, and sometimes it feels vague. Under hard braking, it feels more vague.
Right, so then we would go look at the cable tie, right?
Yep.
It's rule of thumb, especially when you're warming up. Bottom of the index finger against the casting and the cable tie above the finger.
Okay.
So if it's vague when you're braking hard, you're already very close to bottom out.
Yep.
So now you're making the tire do a lot of work.
Yep.
Which equals all of this uneven.
Yep.
See, some of these dots are almost close against the edge.
Yep.
And some are high, but there's a wobble in it. So you're asking too much of the tire right out of the gate because the suspension in the front is either too soft on compression and or preload, because they're a team. They have to work together.
Yep.
So technically, you coming in and that being here would have been ideal.
Okay.
It's not. You're below it, so you're basically going through the stroke too fast. We did measure the sag, we know where everything is, but we need to see where compression is. So with the GP suspension kit, we need to find out where we are. So we'll go clockwise first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out. If you're 8 out and you're that deep, that would immediately suggest that the preload's way too soft.
Okay.
You're 8 out of. 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 of 26. So 8, 16, 24. You're 80% in already on compression. The maximum will be 6. The ideal will be 10 to 14. So if we're going to get these two to work together, it'd be good to set the compression at 10 and then add 3 complete turns of preload.
Yeah.
So the steel supports the bike when you hit the brakes. The compression takes over with the speed of descent to make it more linear, so you can get a lot more feedback as you're braking in a straight line and trail braking when you're leaning. So we'll set this to 10 all the way in, and it clicks. So for those that don't know what clicks means, it's basically a square with a spring and a ball. As you turn it, it compresses the spring, the next square comes around, the ball comes out and hits it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And then we need to go on the other side and make sure that's 10 out as well. Now we're going to go on top of the bike while I've got the 3mm and make sure it's not double bouncing, which it's not. So up to the top of the stroke and still. So now we're going to add 3 full turns, but I want to see where you are first.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of.
Yeah.
1, 15.25. So you're halfway.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember that ideal window?
Yep.
So it would be basically if there's 15 turns and you divide that into 3, 5, 10, 15.
Yep.
You want to be between 5 and 10.
Yep.
So you're right there.
Okay, and then sort of play with it within that.
Yeah. So at this point now, we're going to come back 5 turns.
Yeah. Okay.
To see what that's going to give us. Then we're at the end of the middle range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So for
1,
folks that are watching
2,
this,
3,
even though it says shower
4,
down there, it has GP
5.
suspension internals. So
Yep.
Oh,
As can be seen right there with the logo.
There you go. Okay.
So we know it's not double bouncing, which is fine. We know that you were too soft on compression because you were blowing through the stroke.
Yeah.
In theory, but you were actually a long way in on compression and out on preload. So now we've got to have preload and compression be a team and work together. They're not unique. Those two have to work together, and rebound is completely separate, which we'll get into on the next rotation, because if you can't brake on your warm-up laps, we have a big problem. So the piece of the puzzle is now you're going to go out in your next session, do 5, 6 laps, and I'm going to meet you on the wall to see where that is. I think you're too low on pressure, so you're losing heat. This contact patch is too big. Okay. Go out at 32 next time around. Big old comet tails on the front. Okay. You bottom the front end out. Rear's running beautifully.
Okay.
So at this point, travel on the forks is optimal. We already made a change. You came back, the cable ties in exactly where it needs to be. rear tire, you don't have that fine defined band in it anymore at all. That's gone. So as you're accelerating, it's bleeding in here. This was really rough, almost like snake skin, really rough, so it's smoothing out.
And there's less boogers.
Yeah, I
Like the boogers are much smaller on this side.
Yep.
Wow.
So because we opened the rebound up and opened the compression up,
It's a booger. Yep.
it's smoothed the transition from on and off throttle, so it's not hurting the tire and causing excessive wear and debris here.
Yeah.
Still not quite right. It needs one more out of compression, so we're going to go counterclockwise, one click there.
Okay.
Now on the fast side of the tire, because we know this is the cold side, we wanted to make sure that the bleed-in on the throttle was nice and smooth, which it is. There's a 1000 grip finish here where you're rolling the throttle on all the way into the middle of the tire, which you would expect because the long rides have a lot of time putting the throttle on. So this makes perfect sense that what we're seeing is finer. Now the sandy beach, you'll have to come in a little bit, is starting to show up.
Is the sandy beach a good thing or a bad thing?
Sandy beach is perfection.
Oh, okay.
So it usually goes this way, 90 degrees to the circumference of the tire.
Yeah.
And it looks like the ocean from 10,000 feet. Right now, those very fine graining lines, as some people call them, they're diagonal.
Yeah.
We still got a comet tail.
Okay.
So you're getting on the throttle and it's doing that to the tire under acceleration, which is why our sandy beach lines are angled. So I need to take one click of rebound out the same direction as I did with compression.
How do you know it's one click? Is it just years of doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know when you need to go 3+. If the comet tail's an inch long, you go 3 or 4 right away. Because it's ridiculous when you look at it. It's just completely wrong. But with it being so much shorter, you were down here before. That change brought it back by 80%. So one click would finish it. But with a soft carcass like a Pirelli, you're going to get this under full power. So in the middle, this one will always have a raised lip in the center, always. It's just carcass flex under full acceleration. On the Pirelli Lightning bolt treads, when the bolt comes back on itself, you'll see a raised lip every time. For slicks, we're basically looking for comet tails on both sides. This should have a raised lip in the center, and then sandy beach. Can we find the sandy beach and get it tuned in? So when you come back, that angle should start to pivot and come straighter to 90 degrees to the circumference.
And we're doing 30-minute sessions here, which is pretty unusual. So it gives you a lot of data to work with, huh? Or is it better for you, for people, your riders to come in, after a 20-minute session, 15 minutes, or you feel like?
So if somebody's wanting to dial a bike in specifically for a purpose, they want to be an A group, they want to do whatever, then I'll make them do cross start finish 4 times, come to the hot pit.
Yeah.
Cross start finish 3 times after that, come in. So in any given session, I can get a minimum 2 stops and setting changes. That serves 2 things. One, the rider's way more consistent. They're on a short span and they generally, percentage-wise, ride 85-90% for a short number of laps. So we can guarantee a degree of rider consistency in skill output.
One of the things you walked me through was the myriad of electronics on the bike, from fixed suspension settings to dynamic, blah, blah. Obviously on the track, I don't run dynamic, it's running in fixed mode. But that's a whole nother video, right? Because you're doing all of this work, but on my Panigale, you also told me to play around with all my fixed settings on here. For those of you that have a Panigale and you ride it in dynamic or whatever mode, I don't know if you meant this, Dave, but Dave basically said, screw that shit, just do fixed and dial it in.
For the racetrack?
Yeah.
Fixed is better because it offers consistency.
Yeah.
Dynamic for the street is so unpredictable, poor quality in general. That's not true, of course, because not every road is a mix of all kinds of repairs.
Right.
So Highway 1 in California, you go to fixed. It's a beautiful road.
It's consistent.
So where are you in the world? Do you have beautiful pavement? Switch to fixed. If you have shitty pavement, leave it in dynamic. The only difference with dynamic is the bike's constantly moving. So if you're at the track, why do you want a bike in the middle of the corner that's changing its geometry actively?
Yeah.
You can't settle down, and you feel the bike won't be still. So picking how you want to do that, dynamic on cold mornings, that's great because the shocks heat up faster because they're working quicker. But at some point you switch to fixed. The other piece, honestly, for fixed is you can fine tune it and feel a change. Specifically, if I want to give it more compression, I'm going to ask you to brake later and harder to get it through the stroke, which means your brake on-off point shift. You actually are more efficient with your braking. But dynamic, it's just going to move. Okay. So skill acquisition and training, there's a point where fixed is very beneficial. Street, on a great road, but track always.
So that was, I had that giggle going with my wife. When my wife hears the giggle, she knows that I'm in a good place or something good happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I could feel the giggle happening as I was coming into the pits after the session. And Dave, you said my head was bobbing.
Yes, you were laughing.
Yeah. Does that bring you joy?
It does.
As a professional suspension whisperer?
Yes. Because you know damn well that person hit a keystone moment.
Yeah.
And actually, for the first time in riding the bike, let go.
Oh, yeah.
And just trusted it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like great comedy, it just becomes about timing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you finesse your timing, then everything in the world gets easier. And everything becomes more intuitive. And then once it gets to your lower cerebellum, like breathing, you're good to go. Because you and the bike are absolutely paired. Just like these microphones to the camera.
It's like poetry, man. It's like poetry.
It is.
So what changed? We were looking at the bike, and you said that a couple of things.
Yep. So travel-wise, we're exactly where we need to be. But now that's textbook, right? So now what I want to do is actually take one click of compression away and a turn of preload away and see if the bike will turn easier for you.
Okay.
I want to try that. Because now we're refining something that makes you smile and laugh.
Because definitely I feel like every adjustment, I go out, the first lap is I feel the adjustment and I'm questioning it, and then by the time my tires are heated up again, I'm loving it.
Sure.
So that's good.
Yeah. So we'll soften the front up a tiny bit. On the rear, our Sandy Beach 1000 grit finish on the fast part of the track is literally perfect. So smooth. All the debris we had here is starting to cluster up and come to the sides. The track temperature is at its hottest part right now, which really helps with tire temperature.
Yeah.
So overall, it's dramatically better, but we still have a shiny. On this side, we have a very defined line and narrow band. So what's happening there is if you point the camera at the exhaust, we're getting too much stroke.
Yeah.
So we're getting too much weight transfer. Okay. So compression is going to get changed. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, if this is sinking, you're not getting the weight transfer up front to push the forks down to help the bike turn. Because you're coming from back here and it's too slow to make the forks compress. So the very slight softening of the forks with a turn of preload and click of compression should actually make it more flickable and even easier to ride, so the giggle factor will go up. Because again, it's becoming more intuitive.
Yeah.
And you don't have to work anywhere near as intently on turn-in. Braking will still be rock solid and stable.
Yeah.
You won't get dive, but at least you get that little quarter inch, 5-6 mil deeper in the stroke in the front, which will make it turn easier. So let's do that turn of preload.
Okay.
First. One, and then a click of compression. One, and then the same on the other side. Okay, now when you go out, obviously we know the distance mathematically per textbook is correct. Doesn't mean it's perfect. So if you come in again, that black line here is blending in, so the tire isn't getting suddenly loaded by the shock with the weight transfer. And if the bike's easier to turn, we might go one more click of compression in on the shock and one more click of compression out on the forks. The goal is to work 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
Okay. Okay,
That
so
way,
within that.
you have to work because it's balanced.
Yeah,
Working at noon to 3 doesn't make any
it's
sense.
It's going to be a pogo chip, right? Yeah.
Or go ride a Harley.
Yeah.
Because all the weight's in the back, it won't turn, it won't brake, it won't do anything, it'll wobble, it'll run wide. But by the same token, we don't want noon to 9 being on a unicycle. Yeah. So there's that fine balance point, 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, where it metronomically goes backwards and forwards.
Okay.
We are 1-2 adjustments away from being, for you, perfect for today.
Yeah, right.
Well, I really hope you all enjoyed track session with Dave. I'm kind of going to save the best for last because I keep telling Dave that he should charge more because that whole day with him was $70, $70 US. I think that's a pretty good deal. And for what it's worth, I paid him more because it was worth it. And I have a huge amount of respect for Dave. Clearly, his approach works for me. And I hope that those of you that have had the opportunity to work with him or are thinking about it, I hope this video was useful as you think about how you want to work and get your suspension set up just right for you. Let me know what you think. Provide comments, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. And I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks all, and thanks Dave.